When Elon Musk's private jet landed in South Africa after 15 years away, his hands were shaking. The richest man in the world was terrified. Why? Because of a letter. A letter from a woman named Helena, his first love, the girl who believed in him when everyone else thought he was just a weird kid with impossible dreams. That letter said something that stopped his heart. There's something I should have told you 30 years ago. What could be so important that she waited 3 decades to tell him? What secret was worth breaking 30 years of silence? Elon had promised Helena something when he was 17 years old, standing at the airport with tears in his eyes. "I'll come back for you," he had said. "When I make something of myself, I swear I'll come back." But he never did. He built rocket ships. He changed the world. He became a billionaire. But he never went back. Until now. When Elon's car pulled up to Helena's house, he saw her standing in the doorway, crying. And he saw something else. Something that would change everything he thought he knew about his own life. The gift he's about to give her isn't just beautiful. It's the kind of gift that will make you believe in second chances. The kind of gift that proves love never really dies, no matter how many years pass. But first, Helena has to tell him her secret. The secret she's been carrying alone for 35 years. The secret that involves a shoebox full of letters she never sent, and a choice she made when she was just 17 years old. What's in that box? What did Helena need to tell him? And why did she wait so long? Watch this whole video to find out what happens when promises made 3 decades ago finally come true. And when a secret too big to hide finally comes to light. Trust me, you won't believe what Elon discovers, and the gift he gives will leave you in tears. This is a story about lost love, impossible secrets, and the most beautiful gift you've ever seen. Let's begin. The private jet touched down on the runway at Wonderboom Airport just as the sun began painting the South African sky in shades of orange and pink. Elon Musk stared out the small window, watching the familiar landscape of Pretoria roll past. His hands gripped the armrests tighter than they had during any rocket launch. He hadn't been back to his childhood neighborhood in 15 years. "Mr. Musk, the car is ready whenever you are." His assistant Sarah's voice crackled through the intercom. Elon nodded but didn't move. In his jacket pocket, folded and refolded so many times the creases had worn soft, was the letter. The letter that had somehow found its way through 7 different assistants, 3 security checks, and 2 personal secretaries before landing on his desk at SpaceX headquarters 3 days ago. The envelope was wrinkled and worn, as if it had traveled a great distance. The handwriting on the front was shaky but achingly familiar, loops and curves he remembered from notes passed in class 30 years ago. Elon Musk. From Helena Venter, Lees. This is important. His heart had stopped when he saw that name. Helena. Helena with the bright green eyes that sparkled when she laughed. Helena who sat beside him at lunch when everyone else thought he was too weird, too quiet, too obsessed with computers and stars. Helena who was the first person to ever say, "You're going to do amazing things, Elon. I believe in you." He pulled the letter out now, reading it for the 100th time since Tuesday. "Dear Elon, I know you probably don't remember me. Why would you? You've built rocket ships and electric cars and changed the world. I'm just a girl you knew a long time ago in a life that must seem very small to you now. But I need to see you. There's something I should have told you 30 years ago. Something I've carried alone for so long, it's become part of me. I don't have the right to ask this, but I'm asking anyway. Please come home. Just once. I promise I won't take much of your time. I still live in the same house on Maple Street, the one with the sunflowers in front. With all my heart. Helena Elon's throat tightened. The sunflowers. Of course, she still grew sunflowers. He remembered the last time he saw her, 1988, both of them 17 years old, standing at the Johannesburg airport. She had pressed something into his palm, her fingers trembling. "It's a sunflower seed," she had whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Plant it when you get to Canada, so you'll remember me. So you'll remember there's someone here who knows you'll touch the stars someday. I'll come back for you," he had promised, his own voice breaking. "When I make something of myself, Helena, I swear I'll come back." But he never did. Life became a whirlwind. Canada, then America, then Silicon Valley, PayPal, SpaceX, Tesla. Every year that passed made the promise harder to keep. How could he go back? What would he say? "Sorry I became a billionaire and forgot about you?" Except he never forgot. Not really. That sunflower seed had grown in every apartment, every office, every home he'd ever had. He still had descendants of that original plant in his office at SpaceX, blooming stubbornly under artificial lights. "Sir?" Sarah's voice came again, gentler this time. Elon stood up, straightening his jacket. "I'm ready." The black car wound through streets that felt both foreign and familiar. The city had grown, modernized, but pockets of his childhood remained. There was the corner store where he used to buy candy. There was the park where Helena had beaten him at chess every single time. His stomach twisted into knots. What could she possibly need to tell him after 3 decades? Was she sick? Did she need money? The thought made him feel ill. He didn't want their reunion to be about money. Maybe she just wanted closure. Maybe she'd moved on, gotten married, had children, built a beautiful life, and just wanted to close that chapter properly. Maybe she hated him for breaking his promise. The car slowed and Elon's breath caught in his throat. 1247 Maple Street. The house looked smaller than he remembered, but well kept. The garden burst with color, roses, daisies, and everywhere, bright yellow sunflowers turning their faces toward the afternoon sun. And there, standing in the doorway, was Helena. She was older. They both were. Her dark hair had streaks of silver now, and lines creased the corners of her eyes. But those eyes, those impossible green eyes, were exactly the same. She was crying. Elon's hand reached for the door handle, his heart pounding so hard he thought it might break through his chest. Helena raised one hand in a small wave, her smile breaking through her tears. After 30 years, he was finally keeping his promise. He was home. Pretoria, South Africa, 1986. 14-year-old Elon Musk sat alone under the jacaranda tree at the edge of the school courtyard, his nose buried in Isaac Asimov's foundation. Around him, other students laughed and played soccer, but Elon had learned it was safer to stay invisible. Yesterday, 3 boys from the rugby team had shoved him into a locker. The bruise on his shoulder still throbbed. Is that any good? Elon looked up, squinting against the sunlight. A girl stood there, dark hair pulled back in a ponytail, green eyes curious and kind. He recognized her from his science class. Helena something. She'd answered a question about photosynthesis that even the teacher hadn't expected. Yes, Elon managed, his voice cracking embarrassingly. It's about the fall of a galactic empire and one man's plan to shorten the dark age that follows using mathematics and psychology, Helena finished, sitting down beside him without asking. I read it last year. Harry Seldon is brilliant. Elon's mouth fell open. No one at this school read science fiction. No one. Helena smiled. You look like you've seen a ghost. Nobody here reads this stuff. Well, now you know somebody who does. She pulled out her lunch, a sandwich and an apple. I'm Helena Venter. You're Elon Musk. You sit 3 rows behind me in science. You know my name. You're the only one who ever argues with Mr. Patterson about physics. Her eyes sparkled with amusement. Last week, you told him his explanation of quantum mechanics was oversimplified to the point of being wrong. Elon felt his cheeks burn. I shouldn't have said that. Why not? You were right. Helena bit into her apple. So, what do you want to be when you grow up? An astrophysicist? No one had ever asked him that before. Not seriously. I want to go to space, Elon said quietly, waiting for her to laugh. I want to help make humanity a multiplanetary species. I know that sounds crazy. It sounds amazing, Helena interrupted, her voice fierce with certainty. It sounds like exactly what someone should be doing. And just like that, Elon Musk fell in love. Over the next 2 years, Helena became his entire world. They spent lunch periods talking about terraforming Mars and artificial intelligence. They studied together at the library, Helena patient with his awkward social skills, Elon awed by how easily she understood complex concepts. She wanted to be a veterinarian, to save animals, and Elon thought that was just as important as saving humanity. Different scale, same heart, he told her once, and she'd kissed his cheek, making him blush for 20 minutes straight. For Helena's 15th birthday, Elon spent 3 months drawing a comic book by hand. Every panel was carefully inked, every word balloon perfectly lettered. The story followed a brave veterinarian named Dr. Helena Venter who traveled to Mars to save the colony's animals from a mysterious illness. She was the hero, brilliant and fearless, solving problems no one else could solve. When he gave it to her, wrapped in brown paper and tied with string, Helena cried. "This is the most beautiful thing anyone's ever made for me," she whispered, clutching it to her chest. "I'm going to keep this forever, Elon. Forever." They had their first real kiss under this same jacaranda tree 3 weeks later. It was clumsy and perfect, and Elon thought his heart might explode from happiness. But Helena's father, Mr. Venter, didn't approve. "That Musk boy is strange," Elon overheard him saying one evening when he walked Helena home. "Always talking about rockets and computers. He'll never amount to anything. I don't want you wasting your time on him." Helena had defended him fiercely. "Daddy, he's brilliant. He's going to change the world." "He's going to break your heart," her father had snapped back. "Mark my words." After that, they had to meet in secret, at the library, at the park, anywhere her father wouldn't see. It made everything feel more intense, more precious. Every stolen moment was treasure. Elon showed Helena his notebooks filled with designs for reusable rockets, for electric vehicles, for solar panels that could power entire cities. She never once doubted him. "You're not weird," she told him one afternoon when he was feeling particularly discouraged after another bullying incident. They sat on a bench at the park, her hand in his. "You're extraordinary, Elon. You see the future that everyone else is too scared to imagine." Those words kept him going through the worst days. 1988. Everything falls apart. Elon was 17 when everything changed. His family situation became impossible. He couldn't stay in South Africa anymore. He'd been accepted to a university in Canada, and he had to go, had to escape, had to start building the future he dreamed about. "Take me with you," Helena begged when he told her. They stood in her garden, surrounded by her mother's sunflowers. Tears streamed down both their faces. "Please, Elon, I'll work, I'll help, I'll do anything." "I can't," Elon choked out, hating himself. "Helena, I have nothing. No money, no plan. I'll be sleeping on couches, eating nothing but hot dogs. I can't ask you to live like that. And your father, I don't care what my father thinks, but I care what happens to you." Elon cupped her face in his hands, memorizing every detail. "You're going to finish school. You're going to become the best veterinarian in South Africa. You're going to save thousands of animals. And I'm going to build my companies. And then what?" Helena sobbed. "Then I'll come back for you," Elon promised, his voice breaking. "When I make something of myself, when I have something to offer you, I'll come back. I swear it, Helena. I swear on everything." Helena pulled away, wiping her eyes. She walked to the sunflower garden and carefully picked one of the dried flower heads. With shaking fingers, she extracted a single seed and pressed it into Elon's palm. "Plant this when you get to Canada," she whispered. "Watch it grow. And remember that there's a girl in Pretoria who believes in you, who will always believe in you. Who knows you're going to touch the stars?" Elon closed his fingers around the seed, feeling like his heart was being ripped from his chest. Their last kiss tasted like salt and promises. Johannesburg Airport, June 1988. Elon stood at the gate, his small backpack containing everything he owned. Helena had come despite her father's threats, her eyes red from crying. "I love you," she said. "I'll wait for you, however long it takes." "I love you too," Elon managed. "I'll write, every week, I promise." But they both knew, even then, that the world was about to pull them apart. As Elon walked toward the plane, he looked back one last time. Helena stood there, one hand raised in goodbye, backlit by the African sun. She looked like an angel. He clutched the sunflower seed in his pocket like a lifeline. The plane lifted off, and South Africa disappeared beneath the clouds. Elon pressed his forehead against the window, tears sliding down his cheeks. "I'll come back," he promised silently. "I'll make something of myself, and I'll come back." But weeks became months. Months became years. Letters became harder to write as his life spiraled into survival mode, working odd jobs, studying, building his first company. He planted the sunflower seed in his first tiny apartment, watering it religiously, watching it bloom. Every time he looked at it, he thought of Helena, but he never went back. Not until today. Not until a worn envelope with shaky handwriting finally reached him, 30 years too late, asking him to keep a promise he thought he'd broken forever. Please come home. And so he had. The car door felt impossibly heavy as Elon pushed it open. His legs were unsteady, ridiculous considering he'd negotiated billion-dollar deals without breaking a sweat. But this was different. This was Helena. She stepped down from the doorway, moving slowly, as if she too couldn't quite believe this was real. They stopped 3 feet apart, the distance feeling like an ocean. "Hi," Helena said, her voice exactly as he remembered, soft, warm, with that slight musical lilt. "Hi," Elon managed. His throat was tight. For a long moment, they just stared at each other. 30 years collapsed into nothing. He saw the girl under the jacaranda tree. She saw the awkward boy with impossible dreams. Then Helena let out a sound between a laugh and a sob and closed the distance, throwing her arms around him. Elon held her tight, breathing in the scent of sunflowers and something uniquely Helena. Home, safety, belief. "You came," she whispered against his shoulder. "You actually came." "I promised I would," Elon said, his voice cracking. "I'm just 30 years late." Helena pulled back, wiping her eyes, laughing through tears. "Better late than never, right?" She gestured toward the house. "Come in, please. I made tea. Do you still drink tea? Maybe you only drink imported coffee now, or God, I'm babbling. I'm sorry. I still drink tea, Elon said gently. And you always babbled when you were nervous. Some things don't change. Helena smiled, really smiled, and for a moment she was 15 again. Inside, the house was modest but filled with warmth. Photographs covered every surface, animals mostly. A lion cub, an elephant, dozens of dogs and cats. But what stopped Elon cold were the newspaper clippings covering one entire wall. PayPal sells to eBay for $1.5 billion. SpaceX successfully launches Falcon 1. Tesla Model S changes the auto industry. SpaceX lands rocket on drone ship. Historic achievement. Every major milestone of his life, carefully cut out and pinned to the wall like a timeline. Articles about Starlink. Photos of him standing beside rockets. Magazine covers. Everything. Elon's voice failed him. You followed everything? Helena stood beside him, arms wrapped around herself. Every launch, every interview, every success. She touched one of the photos gently, him standing in front of a Falcon 9. I told you that you'd touch the stars, Elon. I wanted to see it happen. I needed to see it happen. Helena, why didn't you... Elon turned to her. Why didn't you contact me? All these years, why? And say what? Helena's voice broke. Hi, Elon, remember me? The girl you promised to come back for? The one you forgot about while you were changing the world? She shook her head quickly. No, that's not fair. I'm sorry. You didn't forget me. You had bigger things to do. I never forgot you, Elon said fiercely. Not once. That sunflower seed you gave me? I planted it. I've kept descendants of that plant in every office, every home. It's at SpaceX headquarters right now, Helena. Right now. Fresh tears spilled down Helena's cheeks. Really? Really? Elon took her hand, noting how it fit perfectly in his, like no time had passed. I thought about coming back so many times, but the years kept passing, and I thought you'd moved on, built a life. I didn't want to disrupt that, didn't think I had the right. Helena led him to the couch, where tea was already laid out on a worn coffee table. They sat, not quite touching, 30 years of silence stretching between them. I need to tell you something, Helena said, staring at her tea, about why I never married. Elon's heart clenched. After you left, everyone told me to forget you, my father especially. He said you were chasing impossible dreams, that you'd fail, that I was wasting my youth pining for someone who'd never amount to anything. Helena laughed bitterly. He was wrong about that, wasn't he? Helena, I tried to date, she continued. Really? I did. Nice men. Stable men. Men who wanted to give me normal, comfortable lives. She finally looked at him, her green eyes shimmering. But none of them were you, Elon. None of them looked at the stars the way you did. None of them believed impossible things were possible. None of them made me feel like I could be extraordinary just by believing in them. You are extraordinary, Elon said. You always were. You didn't need me for that. Maybe not. But I loved you anyway. Helena set down her teacup with shaking hands. I became a veterinarian, just like I planned. I work at the Magaliesberg Wildlife Sanctuary, about an hour from here. I've saved over 2,000 animals in the past 30 years. Lions, elephants, rhinos, even a pangolin last week. Pride swelled in Elon's chest. That's incredible. Helena, you did exactly what you dreamed. We both did. Helena smiled sadly. We both became who we said we'd be, just in different worlds. Silence settled between them, not uncomfortable, but weighted with decades of unspoken words. The letter. Elon said finally. "You said you had something to tell me. Something you've kept secret." Helena's entire body tensed. She stood abruptly, walking to a small desk in the corner. When she turned back, she held a worn shoebox, the kind that had clearly been opened and closed thousands of times. "I should have told you this 30 years ago," Helena said, her voice barely above a whisper. "But I was 17 and terrified and alone. And by the time I had the courage, you were already someone else, someone unreachable." Elon stood, his heart pounding. "What is it?" Helena opened the box with trembling fingers. Inside were dozens of letters, envelopes addressed to him, yellowed with age, never sent. "I wrote to you," Helena said, tears flowing freely now. "Every month for 10 years. Every birthday. Every Christmas. Every time something important happened." She touched the letters reverently. "But I never mailed them because I didn't know how to tell you the truth. I was afraid you'd think I was trying to trap you, or use you, or—" "Helena, what truth?" Elon's voice came out sharper than intended, fear making him impatient. Helena's hands shook so badly she nearly dropped the box. 3 weeks after you left for Canada, 3 weeks, Elon, I found out I was pregnant." The world stopped. Elon heard the words, but they didn't make sense. Couldn't make sense. "What?" he breathed. "We were 17 and stupid and thought we were careful, but we weren't careful enough." Helena's words tumbled out in a rush. "I was so scared. My father was furious. He wanted me to, but I couldn't, Elon. I couldn't." Elon's legs gave out. He sat heavily on the couch, his mind spinning. "You were pregnant. With my— Yes. What happened?" His voice sounded strange, distant. "Where—" Before Helena could answer, her phone rang, shrill and urgent. She glanced at the screen, her expression shifting to panic. "It's the sanctuary," she said. "There's an emergency. An elephant, Zara, one of our young females. She's caught in a poacher's trap. If I don't get there in the next 20 minutes, I'll drive you," Elon said immediately, standing on autopilot. His mind was still reeling, but Helena's distress cut through the fog. "We'll talk after. Just let's save the elephant." Helena grabbed her veterinary bag, clutching the shoebox to her chest. "I promise I'll explain everything. Everything, Elon. I promise." They rushed to the car, Elon's driver speeding toward the sanctuary as Helena made frantic calls ahead. Elon's hands gripped his knees, his mind racing. Pregnant. Helena had been pregnant with his child. Had been. Past tense. What did that mean? Miscarriage? Adoption? Something worse? He glanced at Helena, who stared out the window, the shoebox in her lap, her jaw tight with whatever secret she'd carried for 3 decades. Inside that box were answers that would change everything. But first, they had an elephant to save. And Elon couldn't shake the feeling that nothing, not rockets, not electric cars, not even Mars, had prepared him for what Helena was about to tell him. The Magaliesberg Wildlife Sanctuary sprawled across 200 acres of golden grassland, bordered by ancient mountains that rose like sleeping giants against the sky. Elon's car kicked up dust as they raced down the dirt road, Helena directing the driver with urgent precision. "Left here, through the main gate." The sanctuary gate stood open, and a man in khaki clothing waved them through frantically. Helena was out of the car before it fully stopped, her veterinary bag already in hand. "Where is she?" Helena shouted. "North Paddock," the man called back. "Mr. Nkosi is with her, but she's panicking, the wires cutting deeper." Elon followed Helena as she ran, his expensive shoes completely wrong for this terrain. Ahead, he could see a crowd gathered around something large. An elephant, he realized, a young one, thrashing against a cruel wire snare wrapped around her front leg. Blood stained the ground. "Zara, baby, I'm here," Helena called out, her voice instantly transforming from panic to calm authority. Everyone stepped back. Give her space. "Mr. Nkosi, do we have the tranquilizer ready?" An older black man with kind eyes and graying hair nodded. "Ready, Helena. But she's too agitated. I can't get close enough." Helena set down her bag and approached the terrified elephant slowly, hands out, speaking in a low, soothing tone. The elephant, Zara, trumpeted in fear and pain, but Helena didn't flinch. "I know, sweet girl. I know it hurts, but I'm going to help you. You know me. Remember, I'm the one who feeds you mangoes." Elon watched, transfixed. This was the Helena he remembered, fearless, compassionate, completely in her element. She moved with the confidence of someone who'd done this 1,000 times. "Elon," Helena called without looking back, "I need you." "Me?" Elon stepped forward uncertainly. "Stand on her right side, about 10 feet away. Don't move suddenly. Just be there. Let her see you're not a threat. Mr. Nkosi, when she calms down, that's your window." Elon did as instructed, his heart pounding. The elephant's eye, massive, dark, filled with pain and terror, fixed on him. He'd stared down skeptical investors and hostile journalists, but this was different. This was a wild creature in agony, and his presence somehow mattered. Helena continued her gentle approach, now close enough to touch Zara's trunk. She placed her hand on the elephant's rough skin, still speaking in that hypnotic, calming voice. "You're going to be okay. We've saved harder cases than this. Remember that baby rhino last month? She's thriving now. You will too." Slowly, impossibly, Zara's thrashing decreased. Her breathing remained labored, but the panic in her eye dimmed slightly. "Now, Mr. Nkosi," Helena whispered. The sanctuary director moved with practiced efficiency, administering the tranquilizer. Within minutes, Zara's legs buckled, and she settled onto the ground with a heavy thud. Helena immediately went to work on the wire snare. Elon knelt beside her without being asked, holding tools, passing supplies, following her terse instructions. The wire had cut deep, but Helena's hands were steady as she cleaned the wound, applied antiseptic, and began stitching with careful precision. "She'll live," Helena said after 30 minutes of intense work. "The wound will heal. She'll have a scar, but she'll live." Around them, the sanctuary staff erupted in relieved applause. Mr. Nkosi clapped Helena on the shoulder, then noticed Elon properly for the first time. His eyes widened. "Wait, You're Elon Musk," Mr. Nkosi said, startled. "The real Elon Musk, here, in my sanctuary." "I am," Elon confirmed, suddenly feeling awkward. "I'm here with Helena." Mr. Nkosi's expression shifted to something calculating. "Are you here to make a donation? Because if you are, Mr. Musk, we desperately need—" "He's here as my friend, not his wallet," Helena snapped, her voice sharp. "Back off, Nkosi." The director raised his hands apologetically, but Elon saw the protective fire in Helena's eyes. She still saw him as just Elon, not the billionaire. Something in his chest loosened. As the team prepared to move Zara to a recovery area, Helena led Elon on a walk through the sanctuary. The sun was beginning its descent, painting everything in warm gold. She still carried the shoebox, clutching it like a lifeline. "This place," Helena said, gesturing around them, "is my life's work. That lion over there? Her name is Thembi. Poachers killed her mother. We raised her from a cub. And that zebra with the limp? Jabari, hit by a car on the highway. The rhino in the far enclosure? Sizwe. His horn was hacked off by poachers, but we saved him. He's learning to be a rhino again." Elon watched her face as she talked about each animal. She glowed with purpose, with love. "They're all survivors," Helena continued, "all given second chances. Some people say I'm wasting my time, that I should focus on breeding programs or something more practical. But these individuals matter, Elon. Each one has a life, a story, a right to exist." "You're not wasting your time," Elon said firmly. "You're doing exactly what you were meant to do." Helena stopped walking and turned to face him fully. The setting sun made her green eyes almost luminous. "Everyone deserves a second chance, even those who run away." The words hung between them, heavy with meaning. "I didn't run away," Elon said quietly. "I left. There's a difference." "Is there?" Helena's voice wasn't accusatory, just sad. "Because from where I stood, watching you disappear, it felt like you couldn't get away fast enough." "That's not, Helena, I was 17, broke, scared. I thought I was doing the right thing by leaving you behind. I thought I'd come back when I had something to offer. And 30 years later, you did." Helena sat on a wooden bench overlooking a watering hole where several zebras drank peacefully. "Because of a letter I should have sent decades ago." Elon sat beside her, leaving space between them. "Tell me, please, the baby, our baby, what happened?" Helena's hands tightened on the shoebox. She opened it again, and this time, Elon could see more than just letters. There were photographs, hospital bracelets, a tiny blue baby blanket. "I gave birth on April 15th, 1989, Helena said, her voice breaking. 8 pounds, 4 ounces, a boy, perfect in every way. A son. Elon had a son. Had. My father made arrangements with an adoption agency before I even went into labor," Helena continued, tears streaming down her face. "He said I was too young, that keeping the baby would ruin my life. I fought him, Elon. I fought so hard. But I was 17 with no money, no support, nowhere to go." Elon's vision blurred. "You gave him up." "I held him for 2 hours," Helena sobbed. 2 hours. He had your eyes, Elon, and these tiny fingers that gripped mine so tight. I named him. In my head, I named him, but the adoptive family would give him their own name. I knew that. "What did you name him?" Elon whispered. "Kai. It means sea in Hawaiian, because you always talked about how the universe was like an ocean, full of mysteries to explore." Helena pulled out a photograph, a newborn baby wrapped in blue, eyes closed, face peaceful. "This is the only picture I have. The nurse took it secretly and gave it to me." Elon took the photograph with shaking hands. His son. 35 years ago, he'd had a son, and he never knew. "The adoptive family, did you ever—" "They were good people," Helena said quickly. "The Boswells, middle-aged, stable, lived just outside Pretoria. They couldn't have children of their own. The agency said they'd give him everything I couldn't, a good home, education, opportunities. You did the best you could," Elon managed, though his heart was shattering. "You were alone and scared, and you did what you thought was right." "No," Helena said firmly. "That's not the whole story." Elon looked up sharply. "What?" Helena stood, pacing now, the shoebox still in her hands. "When Kai turned 18, his name is Kai, Elon. They kept the name I'd whispered to him. When he turned 18, he contacted the adoption agency. He wanted to know his birth parents, and they found me." The world tilted. "He's alive," Elon breathed. "He's alive, and—" "He's 35 years old," Helena said, her voice shaking. "He's a mechanical engineer. He designs water purification systems for rural villages. He's kind and brilliant and—" Behind them, someone cleared their throat. Elon spun around. A young man stood there, tall, lean, with Elon's distinctive facial structure and Helena's striking green eyes. He wore dusty jeans and a work shirt, and his expression was a mixture of nervousness and determination. "Mom," the young man said softly, "you left your phone in the car. I brought it because I thought—" He stopped, his eyes landing on Elon. Recognition flashed across his face. "Oh." Helena's voice cracked. "Kai, this is—" "I know who he is," Kai said quietly. He stepped forward, extending his hand. "Hello, I'm Kai Boswell. I've waited my whole life to meet you." Elon stared at the outstretched hand, his mind unable to process what was happening. "Dad," Kai added, his voice breaking on the word. The sun dipped below the horizon, and in the gathering darkness, Elon Musk came face to face with the sun he never knew existed. Elon's hand moved automatically, clasping Kai's in a handshake that felt surreal. The moment their palms touched, something electric passed between them, recognition on a level deeper than sight or sound. This was his son, his flesh and blood. 35 years of missed connection compressed into a single touch. Elon's voice failed completely. He tried again. "You're real," Kai finished gently, a slight smile playing at his lips. "Yeah, I get that a lot. Well, I got it a lot from Mom when I first showed up 11 years ago. She thought I was a ghost." Helena let out a sound between a laugh and a sob. "You can't just appear on someone's doorstep after 18 years and expect them to—" She pressed her hands to her mouth, overwhelmed. Kai released Elon's hand and moved to his mother, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. The gesture was protective, familiar. They'd clearly built a relationship over the past 11 years. Elon felt a stab of something that might have been jealousy or grief or both. "Sit down, both of you," Kai said, guiding them back to the bench. "This is a lot. I know it's a lot. Trust me, I've had 35 years to process this, and it's still a lot." They sat, Helena in the middle, Elon on one side, Kai on the other. The sanctuary grew quiet around them as night fell. Somewhere in the distance, a lion roared. Closer by, crickets began their evening song. "Tell me everything," Elon said finally, his voice hoarse. "From the beginning, please." Kai nodded, leaning forward with his elbows on his knees. Even in profile, the resemblance was striking. The same sharp jawline, the same intense way of focusing. But his expressions were softer, more open than Elon's had ever been. "The Boswells were good parents," Kai began. "Are good parents. Peter and Susan. Dad's a retired school teacher, Mom's a nurse. They live in a small house in Centurion with a garden full of tomatoes." He smiled at the memory. "They never hid the fact that I was adopted. From the time I could understand, they told me I was chosen, that my birth mother loved me enough to give me a better life." "They sound like good people," Elon managed. "The best," Kai agreed. "But even good parents can't fill certain holes. I always knew there was something missing. Not because they didn't love me enough, they did. They do. But because I was different from them in fundamental ways." Helena spoke up, her voice thick with emotion. "What ways?" Kai turned to look at her. "I was obsessed with how things worked. Not just interested, obsessed. I took apart every appliance in the house by the time I was 7. Built my first water filtration system from scratch when I was 12, using parts from the hardware store and things I found at the dump." Elon felt his breath catch. "I did the exact same thing. Same age. I built a small explosive device and nearly—" He stopped. "Never mind. Go on." "See?" Kai's smile widened. "That's what I mean. Mom and Dad would just look at me confused when I tried to explain quantum mechanics or why we needed to redesign our entire water system. They loved me, but they didn't understand me. And I spent my whole childhood feeling like I was from another planet. You're not alone in that feeling, Elon said quietly. I know, because when I turned 18, I finally got access to my adoption records. The agency gave me basic information: birth mother's name, age, general circumstances. But there was one detail that changed everything. Kai paused, his green eyes meeting Elon's directly. My birth father's name, Elon Musk. The name hung in the air. At first, I thought it had to be a different Elon Musk, Kai continued. The coincidence seemed too massive, but then I did the math. I was born in April 1989. The record said my father left for Canada in June 1988, and I started reading everything I could find about you. Elon's hands trembled. What did you find? That I inherited more than just your cheekbones, Kai said. Every article I read, every interview I watched, I saw myself. The way you think about problems, the way you can't leave something alone until it's solved, the way you see systems and connections that other people miss. He laughed, but there was pain in it. Do you know what it's like to realize your obsession with efficiency and engineering isn't a personality quirk? It's genetic? Did you try to contact me? Elon asked, almost afraid of the answer. 100 times, Kai admitted. I wrote emails that I never sent. I called SpaceX once and got as far as a receptionist before I panicked and hung up. I even flew to California 2 years ago and stood outside Tesla headquarters for 3 hours before losing my nerve. Why? Elon leaned forward urgently. Why didn't you? Because I was terrified, Kai said simply. Terrified you'd think I wanted money. Terrified you'd think I was a fraud. Terrified you'd look at me and feel nothing. His voice cracked. You had built empires. You were sending rockets to space. And I was just some guy who designed water filters. Why would you care about me? Helena grabbed Kai's hand, squeezing it tight. Tears ran freely down her face. But mostly, Kai continued, I didn't contact you because Mom made me promise not to. Elon turned to Helena sharply. What? Helena's face crumpled. I was protecting you, both of you. Kai, you have to understand. Your father had built this incredible life. He was changing the world. I couldn't let you disrupt that with some paternity claim. And Elon, she looked at him with devastating honesty. I couldn't bear the thought that you'd think I was trying to trap you, or use you, or destroy everything you'd built. So you both knew about each other for 11 years, Elon said slowly, the reality sinking in like a stone. And neither of you contacted me. I wanted to, Kai said fiercely. Every single day. But Mom was right to be cautious. Your life it's complicated. There are lawyers and NDAs and public scrutiny. How could I just show up and say, hey, surprise, you have a son? By showing up and saying it. Elon's voice rose, anger and grief mixing together. By giving me the choice. By letting me decide whether I wanted to know my own son. The words echoed across the sanctuary. Several zebras at the watering hole startled and trotted away. Silence fell, heavy and painful. You're right, Helena whispered. You're absolutely right. I was a coward. I've been a coward for 35 years. No, Kai said firmly. You were protecting me. You were protecting him. You were doing what you thought was right with impossible circumstances. He turned back to Elon. I'm not here for money. I don't want anything from you. I needed to meet you, to look you in the eye, to know where I came from. Elon studied his son, really studied him, the intelligent eyes, the careful way he chose his words, the protectiveness toward Helena. This wasn't some opportunist or con artist. This was a good man who'd been caught in circumstances beyond his control. Tell me about your work, Elon said quietly. The water purification systems. Kai blinked, surprised by the change in direction. Okay. I design low-cost filtration systems for rural communities that don't have access to clean water. My systems use solar power and locally sourced materials so they're sustainable and affordable. So far, I've installed them in 47 villages across South Africa, Botswana, and Zimbabwe. They serve about 50,000 people. 50,000 people have clean water because of you, Elon repeated slowly. It's not rockets to Mars, Kai said with a self-deprecating shrug. It's 50,000 people who won't die from waterborne diseases, Elon countered, his voice intense. It's children who won't spend hours every day walking to contaminated wells. It's communities that can thrive instead of just survive. Kai, his voice broke. That's extraordinary. Kai's eyes widened, and suddenly he looked much younger than 35. Vulnerable. Hopeful. You really think so? Show me, Elon said. Show me your designs. Everything. I want to see it all. Kai fumbled for his phone with shaking hands, pulling up photos and schematics. For the next hour, father and son sat side by side, heads bent together over a glowing screen, while Kai explained his innovations. Elon asked rapid-fire questions about flow rates, filter materials, maintenance cycles, cost structures, and Kai answered everyone with confident expertise. Helena watched them, tears flowing silently. They looked so similar when they concentrated. The same furrowed brow, the same hand gestures, the same way of attacking problems from unexpected angles. This filter design is brilliant, Elon said, zooming in on a schematic. But you're losing efficiency here because of the valve placement. If you moved it 6 centimeters and changed the angle to 30 degrees, you'd increase throughput by 15%. Kai stared at the screen, then at Elon, then back at the screen. Oh my God, you're right. How did I not see that? Because you're too close to it. Fresh eyes help. Elon smiled, really smiled, for the first time since arriving. You know what else would help? Better manufacturing. Your components are too expensive because you're building everything custom. But if we could scale production, use cheaper materials without sacrificing quality. We? Kai repeated softly. Elon looked at his son, this brilliant, compassionate man he'd never known existed until an hour ago. If you want. No pressure, but I think maybe we could do something together. Something that matters. Kai's expression transformed, hope and joy and disbelief warring across his face. I would like that, very much. Helena stood abruptly, walking a few steps away. Her shoulders shook with sobs. Not sad ones, Elon realized, but overwhelmed ones. The relief of a secret finally told. The joy of seeing her son and his father connect. The grief of 35 lost years. Elon went to her, placing a tentative hand on her shoulder. Helena. She turned and he saw everything in her face. Love that never died, regret that would never fade, hope that maybe, somehow, they could build something from these ruins. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. For all of it. For not trying harder to reach you. For keeping Kai from you. Stop, Elon said gently. He pulled her into an embrace, feeling Kai join them a moment later. The three of them standing together under the African stars. We can't change the past, but maybe we can change what happens next. Helena pulled back slightly, wiping her eyes. There's something else, something I haven't shown you yet. She retrieved the shoebox one final time and pulled out a faded piece of paper. Even in the dim light, Elon recognized his own teenage handwriting, the comic book he'd made for Helena, Dr. Helena Venter Saving Animals on Mars. I kept it, Helena said. All these years. And when Kai found me, when I learned what he was doing with his life, designing systems to save people, to help communities, I showed it to him, and we both realized something. What? Elon asked. Kai stepped forward, his voice steady. That maybe we're not so different after all. You want to save humanity by making us multiplanetary. Mom saves animals one life at a time, and I'm trying to save communities by giving them clean water. He smiled. Different scales. Same heart. That's what you told Mom once, remember? Elon did remember. He remembered everything now. Every promise, every dream, every moment of a love he'd thought was lost forever. Tomorrow, Elon said decisively, I want you both to come with me. There's something I need to show you. Something I've been planning for a long time, but didn't know who it was for. Until now. What is it? Helena asked. A gift, Elon said, looking between the woman he'd loved and the son he'd never known. The most beautiful gift I know how to give. Morning light broke over Pretoria in shades of pink and gold, painting the city in colors that reminded Elon why he'd loved South Africa as a child. He stood outside Helena's house at 7 a.m. sharp, having barely slept in his hotel room. His mind had raced all night with plans, calculations, possibilities. Helena emerged from her house wearing a simple sundress, her hair pulled back. Behind her came Kai, looking both nervous and excited. They climbed into the car without asking where they were going, an act of trust that made Elon's chest tighten. It's a 2-hour drive, Elon said as they pulled away from the city, northwest toward the Magaliesberg Mountains. That's near the sanctuary, Helena observed. Very near, Elon confirmed, a small smile playing at his lips. They drove through the awakening countryside, past farms and small towns, making small talk that felt both awkward and precious. Kai told stories about his adoptive parents, how his father had taught him to play chess, how his mother still sent him care packages even though he was 35. Helena shared updates about animals at the sanctuary, her voice animated when she talked about a baby rhino learning to walk. Elon listened, soaking in every detail, trying to memorize the sound of his son's laugh, the way Helena's eyes crinkled when she smiled. Can I ask you something? Kai said during a quiet moment. About the sunflower. Mom told me about the seed she gave you. Did you really keep it all these years? Not just keep it, Elon said. That sunflower has traveled with me through 15 different homes and offices. I propagated seeds from it every year. There are sunflowers descended from your mother's gift growing at SpaceX headquarters, at the Tesla factory, in my home. Every time I look at them, I remember... Remember what? Helena asked softly. That someone believed in me when I was nobody, Elon finished. That love exists even when people are apart. That promises matter, even when they take 30 years to keep. Helena reached forward from the back seat and squeezed his shoulder. They turned off the main highway onto a dirt road that wound through golden grassland. In the distance, the Magaliesberg Mountains rose like ancient sentinels, their peaks touching the morning clouds. Where are we going? Kai asked, leaning forward with curiosity. You'll see, Elon said. 5 minutes later, they crested a hill, and the landscape opened up before them, 250 acres of pristine wilderness, bordered by mountains on one side and a crystal river on the other. The land was empty except for natural vegetation, a few scattered acacia trees, and thousands of wildflowers swaying in the morning breeze. Elon stopped the car at the center of the property, where a large stone marker had been placed. Around it, wooden stakes marked out building foundations, pathways, enclosures, a massive construction project waiting to begin. What is this? Helena breathed, stepping out of the car. Elon retrieved a rolled set of architectural plans from the trunk. He spread them across the car's hood, weighing down the corners with rocks. "This," Elon said, his voice thick with emotion, "is the Helena Venter Wildlife Sanctuary and Research Center." Helena's hand flew to her mouth. Kai moved closer, studying the detailed blueprints. The plans showed a state-of-the-art facility, massive natural enclosures for rescued animals, a veterinary hospital with the latest equipment, housing for staff, educational centers, and research laboratories. Every building was designed to blend with the landscape, using sustainable materials and solar power. 10 times larger than your current sanctuary, Elon explained, pointing to different sections. Capacity for 500 animals simultaneously. A hospital that can handle everything from field mice to elephants. Operating theaters, diagnostic imaging, rehabilitation pools, everything you've ever needed and never had. Helena's tears came fast and silent. She couldn't speak, could only stare at the plans that represented a lifetime of impossible dreams made suddenly possible. But that's not all, Elon continued, his eyes moving to Kai. He flipped to another set of blueprints. This building here, it's called the Kai Musk Innovation Center. Kai's eyes went wide. What? A research and development facility focused on sustainable technology for conservation and rural development, Elon said. Water purification, solar energy, waste management, agricultural innovation, everything needed to help communities and wildlife coexist. You'd have a team of engineers, unlimited resources, and the freedom to develop solutions that can be implemented across Africa and beyond. I can't... Kai's voice failed him completely. You'd be the director, Elon added. It would be your center, your vision. I'm just providing the resources and connections, the innovation. That comes from you. Kai sat down heavily on the car's bumper, his head in his hands. His shoulders shook. Helena moved to her son, wrapping her arms around him, crying just as hard. Elon gave them a moment, then walked to a cleared area about 50 yards away. He knelt down and opened a small leather pouch he'd carried from the car. Inside were seeds, sunflower seeds, descendants of the one Helena had given him 37 years ago. "Come here," he called to them. "Both of you." Helena and Kai joined him, their faces streaked with tears. Elon handed each of them several seeds. "Your mother gave me something precious when I left South Africa," Elon said, his voice steady, despite the emotion threatening to break through. "A sunflower seed and a belief that I could do impossible things. That belief traveled with me through every failure, every setback, every moment when I wanted to give up." He began pressing seeds into the earth, his hands gentle. "These sunflowers will grow here, around both buildings. They'll bloom every year, generation after generation, because that's what you gave me, Helena. Something that grew and multiplied and never stopped giving." Helena knelt beside him, planting her seeds with trembling fingers. "Elon, this is too much. I can't accept—" "Yes, you can," Elon interrupted firmly. "You gave me everything when I had nothing. You believed in a weird, awkward kid who talked about impossible things. You gave me a son," his voice cracked, "a brilliant, compassionate son, who's doing exactly what I hoped he'd do, making the world better in ways that matter." Kai planted his seeds on Elon's other side, creating a small circle. "I don't know what to say." "Say you'll run the center," Elon said. "Say you'll take your water purification systems from 50,000 people to 5 million. Say you'll build a team and develop technologies that will save communities and wildlife. Say you'll let me be part of it, part of your life, even though I missed the first 35 years. "Yes," Kai said immediately, fiercely. "Yes to all of it." They finished planting the seeds in silence, each lost in their own thoughts. When the last seed was covered with earth, Elon stood and brushed off his hands. "There's something else," he said. "Construction starts next month. Full operation in 18 months. But I need you both here, involved in every decision. Helena, this is your sanctuary. Every enclosure, every piece of equipment, every protocol, you decide. And Kai, same for the Innovation Center. I'm funding it, but you're building it." "Why?" Helena asked, her green eyes searching his face. "Why are you doing this?" Elon looked at her, really looked at her, seeing the girl who'd believed in him and the woman who'd carried impossible burdens alone. "Because I made you a promise 37 years ago," he said simply. "I promised I'd come back when I made something of myself. I'm late, and I can't give you back the years we lost, but I can give you this. A place where you can save thousands of animals instead of hundreds. Where Kai can innovate without limits. Where we can build something together, all three of us, that will last long after we're gone." Helena closed the distance between them and wrapped her arms around him, holding tight. "You didn't just come back," she whispered. "You came back better than any of us imagined." Kai joined the embrace, and for the second time in 2 days, the three of them stood together, no longer strangers, no longer separated by decades of silence, but family. Broken, complicated, imperfect family, but family nonetheless. "These sunflowers will bloom in a few months," Elon said, looking at the freshly turned earth. "Yellow flowers stretching toward the sun, just like your mothers always did. And every year after that, they'll come back. Because second chances aren't just for people, Helena. They're for love, they're for dreams, they're for promises that take a lifetime to keep." The morning sun climbed higher, warming the land that would soon house buildings named for the two people Elon had loved and lost and found again. In the distance, a bird sang. The river murmured its eternal song, and three people who'd been separated by time and fear and impossible circumstances began the work of becoming whole. Helena pulled back slightly, her hand still resting over Elon's heart. "What happens now?" "Now?" Elon smiled, a real smile, the kind he hadn't felt in years. "Now we build, together, the three of us. We build something beautiful." Kai looked at the empty land, his engineer's mind already seeing the possibilities. "It's going to take a lot of work." "Good thing we're all good at impossible things," Elon said. They stood together at the center of the future sanctuary as the wind picked up, rustling through the grass and wildflowers. Somewhere beneath their feet, sunflower seeds waited in the dark soil, ready to grow, ready to bloom, ready to prove that even love thought lost forever could find its way back home. The most beautiful gift Elon Musk could give wasn't built with rockets or electric cars or billion-dollar technology. It was built with forgiveness, with second chances, and with seeds planted in faith that something beautiful would grow. And it would. It already had. 1 year later, September 2025. The grand opening of the Helena Venter Wildlife Sanctuary and Research Center drew crowds from across South Africa and beyond. News helicopters circled overhead, capturing aerial footage of the sprawling complex that had transformed empty grassland into a beacon of hope for wildlife conservation. But Elon Musk stood apart from the main ceremony, in a quieter corner of the property where 500 sunflowers bloomed in brilliant yellow profusion. Their faces turned toward the afternoon sun, swaying gently in the breeze that swept down from the Magaliesberg Mountains. Helena appeared beside him, elegant in a simple green dress that matched her eyes. She'd aged backward over the past year, the weight of 35 years of secrets lifted, replaced by purpose and joy that made her radiant. "Hiding from your own party?" she teased gently. Observing, Elon corrected with a smile. There's a difference. Together, they watched the scene unfolding near the main buildings. Kai stood at a podium, addressing the crowd with confidence that came from doing work he loved. Behind him, a massive banner read, Kai Musk Innovation Center, Sustainable Solutions for Africa's Future. He's a natural speaker, Helena said proudly. Gets that from you. He gets the compassion from you, Elon countered. The engineering is mine. But the heart? That's all Helena Venter. Over the past 12 months, Elon had made the 2-hour journey from Pretoria to the sanctuary site at least twice a week. Sometimes he came for meetings about construction progress or equipment specifications. More often, he came simply to be near Helena and Kai, making up for lost decades one conversation at a time. They'd talked through everything: the pain of separation, the years of silence, the what-ifs that could drive a person mad if dwelled upon too long. There had been arguments, tears, moments when the weight of the past seemed too heavy to bear. But there had also been laughter, shared meals, late nights designing animal enclosures and water purification systems side by side. Slowly, impossibly, they'd become a family. The first animals arrive tomorrow, Helena said, her voice catching with emotion. 23 elephants from an overcrowded reserve in Kruger. 12 lions rescued from private zoos. 6 rhinos whose sanctuary lost funding. We're going to save them all, Elon. We're actually going to save them all. You were always going to save them, Elon said. I just gave you a bigger boat. Helena laughed, that musical sound he'd fallen in love with at 14. Is that what we're calling a $50 million wildlife sanctuary? A bigger boat? Perspective, Elon said with a shrug. Then, more seriously, how's the staff training going? Incredible. We have 40 full-time veterinarians and animal care specialists. Mr. Nkosi from the old sanctuary is my head of operations. Everyone's so excited, Elon. They can't believe what we've built here. What they'd built was extraordinary. The veterinary hospital boasted equipment that rivaled human hospitals. MRI machines for elephants, surgical theaters with live streaming capability for training purposes, rehabilitation pools sized for hippos. The animal enclosures sprawled across acres, designed to mimic natural habitats so perfectly that rescued animals could recover not just physically but psychologically. And beside it all stood the Innovation Center, Kai's domain. In just 1 year, Kai had assembled a team of 30 engineers and developed 3 new water purification systems that were already being deployed in rural villages. His latest design could provide clean water for a community of 500 people at a cost of just $2,000, a fraction of existing solutions. He's going to change millions of lives, Elon said, watching his son gesture enthusiastically at the podium. He already is. He got a call last week, Helena said, from the Gates Foundation. They want to partner on scaling his systems across sub-Saharan Africa. Pride swelled in Elon's chest so powerfully it almost hurt. That's incredible. He almost didn't take the meeting, Helena added with a knowing smile. Said he didn't want anyone to think he was succeeding because of his last name. I had to remind him that he'd been doing this work for 10 years before anyone knew Elon Musk was his father. He's nothing like me, Elon said quietly. He's better. He's exactly like you, Helena corrected. Brilliant, driven, determined to solve impossible problems. But he's also like me. He leads with his heart. You gave him the mind. I gave him the soul. Together, we made someone extraordinary. The word "we" settled warmly in Elon's chest. Over the past year, his relationship with Helena had evolved into something he couldn't quite name. Not the teenage romance they'd shared. They were different people now, shaped by decades of separate lives. But not just friendship either. Something deeper, something that felt like coming home. They'd been careful, both aware that rushing could break the fragile thing they were building. But there had been moments, hands held during difficult conversations, hugs that lasted a beat too long, glances across rooms that spoke of feelings too complex for words. "Elon," Helena said softly, "can I ask you something?" "Anything. Do you ever regret it? The path you took? If you'd stayed in South Africa, if we'd been together, your life would have been completely different." Elon considered the question seriously. "I used to think about that constantly. What if I'd stayed? What if I'd known about Kai? What if I'd tried harder to come back sooner?" He turned to face her fully. "But here's what I've learned. Regret is just another word for wishful thinking. I can't change the past. None of us can. All we can do is make the present matter." "And does it?" Helena asked, her green eyes searching his. "Does this matter?" "More than anything I've ever built," Elon said without hesitation. "SpaceX will eventually get humans to Mars. Tesla changed the automotive industry. But this..." He gestured at the sanctuary, at Kai still speaking passionately at the podium, at the sunflowers blooming around them. "This is the most important thing I've ever been part of. Because it's not about me. It's about us. All three of us." Helena's eyes filled with tears. "I love you, you know. I never stopped. Even when I thought I'd never see you again, even when I convinced myself I'd moved on, I never stopped loving you." "I know," Elon said gently. "I never stopped either. But we're not those kids anymore, Helena. We can't just pick up where we left off." "I don't want to pick up where we left off," Helena said firmly. "That girl and boy are gone. But maybe these two people, these adults who've lived entire lives and made mistakes and learned from them, maybe they could build something new, something better." Before Elon could respond, Kai's voice boomed from the speakers. "And now I'd like to invite my mother and father to join me for the ribbon cutting." The crowd erupted in applause. Helena and Elon exchanged glances, then walked together toward the ceremony, their hands brushing but not quite holding. Not yet. At the podium, Kai beamed at them. "Mom, Dad, come on up." The word "dad" still sent a jolt through Elon every time he heard it. Kai had started using it 3 months ago, tentatively at first, then with growing confidence. His adoptive parents, Peter and Susan Boswell, had been gracious about everything, welcoming Elon into Kai's life without resentment. They'd even attended the groundbreaking ceremony, Peter shaking Elon's hand and saying simply, "Take care of our boy." Now, standing between Helena and Kai, holding oversized ceremonial scissors, Elon felt something he'd rarely experienced in his chaotic life: contentment. "Before we cut this ribbon," Kai said, "I want to say something. This place exists because 3 people who loved each other got separated by circumstances, by fear, by life. For 35 years, we were apart. And those years hurt. They left scars. But those scars also taught us something important." He looked at Helena, then at Elon. "They taught us that love doesn't have an expiration date, that families can be rebuilt, that it's never too late to keep a promise, to ask for forgiveness, to choose hope over regret." The crowd was silent, captivated. "So this sanctuary isn't just for animals," Kai continued. "It's for anyone who needs a second chance. For anyone who thought something beautiful was lost forever and then found it again. For anyone who believes that broken things can be made whole." He raised the scissors. Together, Elon, Helena, and Kai cut the ribbon simultaneously. It fell away in 2 pieces as the crowd erupted in celebration. Confetti cannons fired. Cameras flashed. Somewhere, music began playing, but Elon barely noticed any of it. He was watching a rescued elephant named Zara, the same one Helena had saved a year ago, being led into her new enclosure by gentle handlers. She trumpeted once, loud and joyful, as if claiming her new home. "She remembers you," Helena said, following his gaze. "Animals always remember kindness." "So do people," Elon replied. That evening, after the crowds had dispersed and the sun began its descent toward the mountains, the three of them returned to the sunflower field. The flowers had started closing their petals for the night, a daily ritual of rest and renewal. Kai had brought a bottle of champagne and 3 glasses. He poured carefully, handing one to each parent. "A toast," he said, raising his glass, "to second chances, to sunflowers that bloom year after year, to family, however it comes together, however long it takes." "To family," Helena and Elon echoed. They drank, the champagne sweet on Elon's tongue, the sunset painting everything in shades of gold and amber. "I have news," Kai said, a nervous excitement in his voice. "The Gates Foundation partnership is happening, but there's more. 3 other major NGOs want to license my purification systems. If this goes the way they're projecting, we could bring clean water to 5 million people in the next 3 years. "Kai, that's incredible." Helena hugged her son fiercely. "There's a catch, though," Kai added. "It means a lot of travel. Time away from here. I'll need someone to oversee the innovation center when I'm gone." "We'll find someone," Elon assured him. "Someone brilliant who shares your vision." "Actually," Kai said, looking between them, "I was thinking maybe both of you? Co-directors, Mom's brilliant with systems and logistics, and Dad, you know manufacturing and scaling better than anyone alive. Together you could keep the center running while I'm expanding to new regions." Helena and Elon looked at each other, a long look full of unspoken questions and tentative possibilities. "That would mean spending a lot of time together," Helena said carefully. "Yes," Elon agreed, "a lot of time." "Working side by side," Helena continued. "Every day," Elon confirmed. A smile played at Helena's lips. "I suppose we could manage that." "I suppose we could," Elon said, his own smile breaking through. Kai laughed, relieved. "Good, because I already told them you'd do it." As darkness fell completely, they remained in the sunflower field, talking and laughing and planning the future. Above them, stars began appearing. The same stars Elon had dreamed of reaching as a boy. The same stars Helena had promised he'd touch someday. He'd reach them, in his way, but standing here, surrounded by flowers that had grown from a seed given in love 37 years ago, with his son and the woman who'd never stopped believing in him, Elon realized something profound. The most beautiful things in life weren't found among the stars. They were found in moments like this, in second chances and kept promises, in families rebuilt from broken pieces, in love that waited patiently through decades of silence and finally came home. The sunflowers would bloom again next year, and the year after, and the year after that. Generation after generation, they'd return, their faces turning toward the sun, teaching the same lesson over and over. Some things are worth waiting for. Some promises take a lifetime to keep, and some loves are strong enough to bloom again, no matter how long the winter. So where are you watching this from? Drop your country or city in the comments below. I love hearing from you all around the world. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. We're here to spread kindness and share stories that remind us what really matters in life. And don't leave yet. Click on the video appearing on your screen right now for another incredible story that will warm your heart. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, and remember, It's never too late for second chances.